Welcome to the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. This is the source for all things high adventure for scouts, scouters, and anyone else interested in promoting high adventure trips for our youth. You can find all kinds of great high adventure options for your scouts at highadventurescouting.com. We are constantly updating the list of cool trips, and we want your input on your best trip. All right, welcome high adventure enthusiasts. We are excited as always to highlight a high adventure base on this edition of the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. Now, we're joined by Jason Wilburn. He's the High Adventure Director for the Michigan Crossroads Council. Now, they run the Canoe Base and the Great Lakes Sailing Adventure. So today we're going to get kind of a 2-for-1 on high adventure programs and maybe a few other things they have going on. So Jason, thanks for joining us today on the High Adventure Scouting Podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. Good afternoon.
All right. Now, if listeners want an overview of both these programs, we did a kind of an overview of both Canoe Base and the Great Lakes Sailing Adventure last year. So you can check out that episode for all the awesome details. This time around, we're going to talk about kind of updates for 2023 coming up and really what happened this past season. So let's just jump right into it, Jason. How was 2022?
All things considered, this year, I mean, the big issue that we've been facing the last couple of years is just COVID and people kind of coming out of it and getting back into scouting, getting back into being comfortable with, getting together with everyone. And I think we've definitely turned the corner this last year. Attendance has been up. A lot of people, especially people from out of state, have been reaching out, looking for high adventure opportunities. I'd say we probably doubled our attendance 2022 versus 2021. Like I said, all things considered, it was a great year for us.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, that's I've talked a lot on this podcast about my experiences, and I've had a couple of years of canceled high adventure trips with my troop, and It's always good to get back out and get out there and kind of do things. So now, what's coming up for this next year? I mean, are there any major changes that are coming up for either program?
No major changes for either. We've in the past year we've had a lot of, we offer standard programs. This is X or Y program, and this is what you'll do on it. But we've had a lot of units that kind of want to tailor it to them. So we're trying to move to a more, agile planning process. We'll offer kind of, these are some of the things that are available. Kind of tailor your own program to that, and then we'll kind of customize the price based upon what you want to do, as opposed to offering a kind of one size fits all program for everyone. It's definitely more logistically intense, I guess, and trying to be more agile and lean and, operate with what we have to offer those. Adds a little bit of a challenge to the planning side, the logistics side, of course, but I think what units want to see is that custom adventure tailored just to what their needs are.
Well, give me an example of kind of some of the programs maybe you had this past summer for units. You can start either with the Canoe Base or the Sailing Adventure, either one. Just kind of curious, some ideas that were kind of that units might have used this past year.
Yep. So the Canoe Base itself is located central Michigan. It's about 2 hours north of the high population density areas of Grand Rapids and Detroit and Michigan. So it's kind of like a gateway to the north where all of our adventure happens. We specialize in the Upper Peninsula adventures, that being the kayaking and the backpacking trips to Pictured Rocks, Grand Island, pretty much 4 of the Great Lakes we can hit. That's Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron. I guess we could even do Lake Erie as well, but most of our stuff is in northern Michigan, especially the Upper Peninsula. In the past, we've offered standard packages, a 5-day trip to hiking on Pictured Rocks, or a 5-day paddle along the Manistique or Fox Rivers in the UP. But what we're seeing now is that the units want to, do 2 days here and 3 days over here. So we kind of do a modified approach where we can combine some of those individual trips into one, uh, I guess, hybrid trip. Get a little backpacking, a little canoeing, a little kayaking, all in one.
Awesome. Now, I know you have some backpacking opportunities. Are those done in conjunction with some of the other, the canoeing trip, or is that a standalone sort of
I
option?
guess it could be both. One of our popular trips this year it's a Pictured Rocks trip, basically. If you ever heard of Pictured Rocks, it's right along
Mhm.
the Lake Superior shoreline. It's a national park there. It's 42 miles of basically sandstone bluffs that you can hike and along the entire route there. But one of the most popular trips this year was a kayaking day, where the first day will uh, be kayaking along Lake Superior, seeing the waterfalls and the cliffs and everything from the lake, and then a couple days spent just backpacking through the national trail there, or the National Lakeshore Trail.
That sounds awesome. Sounds really cool. Do you guys have a typical starting point for these trips? I mean, I know
Uh,
I
Not
know
necessarily. Yeah.
some of the like the sailing adventure goes several different areas, but
Hmm.
some of these other adventures, is there a typical starting place that you guys go
Not
to?
there is not. It's all dependent upon what permits we're able to obtain. So based upon the permits for those campsites, those nights we'll put in around there and kind of tailor each one. There's a few like kind of must see I put in quotes areas of Pictured Rocks that we'll try and hit. But a lot of it's based upon what permits are available for that week or that time frame that the unit wants to go.
Okay, and as far as the permits, what do those cover, the kind of the national park areas or
Yep,
campsites or what? Yeah.
exactly. It's handled by National Park Service. Have to go through the permitting process. We
Okay.
like units to, um, get their reservations into us and kind of everything in by January, maybe mid February, ideally. But we've had units that called us up and like it's the beginning of July and hey, I want to go in 2 weeks. What's available? So, puts us in a
Oh,
little bit of scramble to see what's available, and usually not the most ideal locations are available on that short notice. But we try and make it work.
right. Now, is that do you have typical campsites you pick out on a trip that you'll either backpack to or canoe to
Yep.
or whatever on those kind of trips?
Yeah, the most determining factor is our unit size. There, we're restricted to group campsites if it's anything above 8 people, which most of our trips are. So the group campsites are more limited than the regular campsites. Um, if we can get uh, a unit that wants to break into two smaller units and kind of hike semi independently of each other, generally with the understanding that they'll see each other at night and just be at different campsites. It offers a lot more flexibility to the where we can go and what we can do.
Okay, so kind of unlike going to the Boundary Waters, which a lot of people have done, where you maybe have an idea, but you figure out your campsite when depending on who's there, if anybody's there.
Yep,
This sounds
correct.
more kind of a planned. Hey, this is where we're going to be each
Yeah,
night.
yep,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
They give you a permit that says you have to stay at this specific campsite on this night and this campsite on this night. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, that's always cool to know. I like planning. I like knowing where I'm going. So that's that works with my interest level.
We
Now,
we
as far
see all kinds of units. Those that like the very detailed planning,
Mhm.
whereas especially my predecessor Greg, he operated much, we'll figure it out on the fly type, which kind of
Mhm.
you know you get the units that I need to know exactly what time I'm getting up, where I'm going to be, how far I need to go, as opposed to we'll just wing it type. Yeah.
Well, it all depends on your comfort level
Hmm.
with that. So we all know the major high adventure bases around the country, and they offer some awesome programs. Have you been searching for a cool alternative from your typical high adventure trip? As a scout leader, I want to give our scouts some great alternatives. You need to check out highadventurescouting.com. You'll find information on over 30 different council high adventure bases in 24 states. Maybe you're looking for a do-it-yourself option and need some ideas. Maybe you've taken a great trip and you want to share your good fortune with your fellow scouts and scouters. Just send us the details and we'll publish your trip. Whatever your interest, highadventurescouting.com is the one-stop shop for all things high adventure. That's highadventurescouting.com.
Sure enough.
Does that when the units go out, do they go out on their own, or is there a guide or staff member with them during this
Mhm.
trip? How do you guys
Usually, at
run that?
least for the first 2 days, kind of similar to the a Philmont method.
Right. Okay.
We'll have a guide with them the first couple of days, make sure that they're one, safe, and two, having a good time. Just to make sure that they're comfortable with the route, their planning, the getting up and being able to break camp in a reasonable fashion and cook their own meals and everything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of expect the units, this isn't their first time backpacking or hiking or anything like that, or paddling on the river, that they have a little bit of experience coming into it. As far as our canoeing trips, we offer a 50-mile we consider it a introductory to high adventure trip, where we'll offer a guide for the entire 50 miles, which usually takes 4 days on our local river there. It's with them the whole time. It's a provisional trip, so certain individuals can sign up without their own unit leadership, and we'll provide the leadership and the oversight for that.
What's the size of that kind of group?
Usually we like to have at least 3 boats, which is 6 people, but we can, upper size. We don't want to get too big. So about five canoes, 10, 12, maybe even 14 people, somewhere in that size range.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And you mentioned about looking, you need to make some type of, to get what you want permit wise and trip wise, January into mid February, that'll give you the best options as far as permitting. Does that sound
Yep,
about right?
especially for those trips that are, require National Park Service or something like that. Our local, 50-mile, 75-mile canoeing trips, they don't require as much permitting, and where we go isn't as nearly highly trafficked as a national
Mhm.
park. So we offer a lot more flexibility with those, especially our 50-miler that's, that goes right through our backyard. We have Rifle River going through our cold canoe base there. So it makes it easy to plan and execute those trips. So someone calls us up and says, we want to go on a 50-mile high adventure next week. We're more than willing uh, to let them and make sure that happens.
Now, if somebody's going through Canoe Base for one of these trips, obviously kind of the 50-miler, the intro 4-day trip that goes right on the rifle. That's more right at your
Mm-hmm.
your location. You said it's just right in your backyard. Some of these other trips, they don't necessarily, start at Cole. Is that accurate?
Yep, that's
Okay.
correct. So, as far as canoeing and kayaking, we have probably about I guess three different trips that are the standard trips. The one is the 50-miler on the Rifle River. Cold Canoe Base is basically located right at the halfway point of that, so that makes it easy. We have a 75-miler, which is on the Asabo River, starting about an hour north of our location, and then going out almost to Lake Huron. And then our big one, the 100-miler, is up on the Fox Manistee River, which is in the Upper Peninsula.
How that's several hours from your
That's about
location.
That's about four
Yeah.
hours, the start point from our base. Yep.
Okay. So let's just I'll just throw a hypothetical out. So, and you may have had this happen before. Is maybe you've got a unit that has some older boys, and they've got boys that aren't quite as um, adept at canoeing. So would would that be applicable to say bring the younger guys that or gals, either one, that have not had a lot of experience going that 50 miler on the rifle, and then some of the more advanced scouts can go from there, uh, go on the 75 or 100 miler, and then I guess they can see them on the way back. Does that
Yep.
sound
Yeah, that's
possible?
certainly an option. Yep. We have several units that, um, that will come for summer camp. So, some of their unit, especially their younger kids, will just do the Merit Badge standard summer camp offering. They'll have a contingent that goes on the 50 miler, or a contingent that goes up to the UP for a backpacking trip.
Okay. All right. I need to go back and listen to the my initial podcast to remember all of this stuff. So see, that's good to go back and listen to the full podcast every once in a while to remember everything that you guys have going on. So, well, that sounds awesome. Now, the as far as the Great Lakes sailing adventure, that's pretty straightforward. I think seems like I remember there were 12 trips a year. Is that
I believe 12 weeks of
12
sailing,
weeks? Yeah.
plus a Labor Day shorter weekend trip.
Okay.
No major changes for that planned this year that I'm aware of. We recently had our the major benefactor for that program passed away a couple weeks ago.
Oh
Um,
man.
besides being a great guy and everything, but he contributed a lot of support, both monetarily and time wise to that program. So um, I'm not sure if that impacts or affects the program itself. I haven't heard anything either way.
So anybody out there listening, they would like a new benefactor and some more help.
Yeah.
So I'll throw that out there. So
Yep. If anyone
um,
owns a boat, they know the that owning a boat is a very expensive proposition,
yes.
or very very expensive thing to do.
Well, I mean, I know even uh, Seabase doesn't own their own boats.
No,
They
no, they don't.
they contract those out, and that's a smart move for them to
Mm-hmm.
do that. And same thing on your end. So that's actually it is an expensive venture. So um, let's. I know you indicated that these trips are you kind of tailor them for that particular unit what they're wanting. What is a good idea of kind of price range from low to high on some of these trips, just to get an idea of the current costs and what units can expect?
Yep. So like everything in the last couple of years, prices have been on the upward trend.
Sure,
Um,
absolutely.
our pricing for next year hasn't been finalized. It's usually in the 450 to I'd say 600 on the high end,
Hmm.
for these trips. Most of the trips, that being the local ones, the 50 miler, the 75 miler Sabo trip, they're not that much more expensive. Especially the 50 miler is the same price as our week of summer camp, which I believe last year was about 450. So there was
Right.
no extra cost for if your unit wanted to attend summer camp, and some of your kids wanted to go on the 50 miler trip. There was no extra cost for them. So it was very, I guess, accessible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know that some of the costs, especially for some of the larger high adventure bases, have gone out of
Mm.
sight. And
Yeah, they're
that's one reason why I spend so much time talking with and working with the council high adventure bases, because they are a little bit more affordable and maybe a stepping stone into some of these higher costs and other adventures that take a little bit more time. So definitely.
exactly. I mean, they're nothing against Philmont or Seabase or Northern Tier. Those are, awesome opportunities, but a lot of them, just because of the price, are, the once in a lifetime opportunities.
Yeah.
Where, as we like to think that we can offer, not it, I have no illusions that we're, on the level of a Philmont or a Northern Tier or anything like that, but we can offer a great, memorable experience for a fraction of that cost. Especially, you know, for these local units that, I mean, we're, right in their backyard. So, I mean, you're, saving on
Right.
travel costs as well, and time.
Exactly. And they're all different experiences. I mean, I've been to all four major BSA high adventure bases, and I've spent the money, spent the time, had a great time. Been to several council bases, and they're all different. They all have their
Hmm.
own feeling, their own program, and they're all good in their own right. And after every talk of every high adventure base, I want to go there. So, and I can't go to all of them, but one of these days. I'll have a little bit more time on my hands, and I'll just make a trip to all of them. So
If I had unlimited time and unlimited money, yeah,
that's
definitely.
it's the time and money. That's always that's how people retire. It's not a matter of money. It's time. It's money. So,
Hmm.
but well, great. Is there anything else you'd like to uh, throw out there that you guys have going on?
Yeah, one thing we haven't mentioned is our ATV program. We
Oh, awesome.
offer it's basically a ATV week. We call it Ogama Hills Trail Riding Week. Basically, you get up in the morning, you pull out the maps and say, where do we want to ride today? Ogama County in Michigan, where we're located, has some of the best trails in the entire state of Michigan for trail rides. It's basically eat, sleep, and ride for a week, and it's something that doesn't get enough I guess it doesn't get enough advertisement, and I
Mhm.
don't think it's fully being utilized to its full potential.
Now, is that something they would camp in base camp, or would they take their stuff with them?
They would they wouldn't be in our base camp in Canoe Base, but
Hmm.
they kind of do a base camp in several different areas where
Hmm.
they have some sportsmen's clubs that have agreed to allow us to camp there. They'll do a couple days there, then they'll pick up and move to a different location in the county or a county over, and do
Cool.
some riding out of there.
Is that something that you would need? Are there provisional options, or is that something that you rely on units to have, leadership and so on for
We
that?
we offer both. We offer the week after all our summer camp is over, usually the first full week in August. We offer a provisional trip, as well as the opportunity for units to sign up as a unit to do that.
Is that going on all summer, or is that just a?
No, the ATVs themselves are being used for training classes during the normal summer camp. So
Mhm.
usually those happen after our summer camp weeks are
After summer
over.
camp? Okay, okay, all right. Well, that's good to know too. Okay, all right. Well, Jason, I want to thank you for joining us today. This has
Well,
been
thank you very
very.
much.
I mean, I knew about this program, but there were some things that I've learned today that I didn't know about. So, all
Well,
right.
thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about Canoe Base.
You bet, you bet. Now, I want to thank Jason Wilburn from the Michigan Crossroads Council for joining us today. Now, you can get more information on the Canoe Base programs at canoebase.com. And the Great Lakes Sailing Adventure, you have to work a little bit more. You have to go to michiganscouting.org and go to the outdoor programs and click on High Adventure. It's pretty easy, just a couple more steps. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to tell your friends about this podcast. You can find us online at highadventurescouting.com, on Facebook or Instagram. If you have any questions or ideas for future podcasts, just email us at info@highadventurescouting.com. This podcast and website are independent and not affiliated with any youth organization. Happy High Adventure! This has been a production of High Adventure Resources, 2018. All rights reserved.